All right, good evening. Call to order. Let's see, all open sessions of the Board of Trustees are recorded and streamed in real time at fuhsd.net. We're going to call this meeting to order. I show 4:33. We're at the Bob Burton's Performing Arts Center, Fallbrook Union High School, 2400 South Stagecoach Lane, Fallbrook, California, 92028. We're going to be starting in just a minute in the closed session. Possible topics could include public employee discipline, dismissal, and release, Government Section Code 54957, conference with legal counsel pending litigation, Government Section Code 54956.9, D1, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, government significant exposure to litigation pursuant to Government Section Code 54956.9, D2, conference with labor negotiators, Government Section Code 54957.6, District Negotiator Ilza Garza Gonzalez, Superintendent, Employer Organizations FHSTA and SEIU, and unrepresented employees, classified management, certificated management, and confidential employees. Opportunities for members of the public to address the board on any items described in this agenda above for closed section will be now. We'll have an opportunity later for public comment on open section items. Government Section Code 54954.3. Do we have any public comments for closed session?
We do not.
All right, we're going to go ahead and adjourn to closed session now. 4:35. All right, welcome everybody. We've returned from closed session. We're going to start with the flag salute. Mr. Christensen, can you help us with that?
You guys stand for the flag salute, please. And begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Roll call. Board of Trustees, Eddie Jones, President. I am here. Oscar Carlampio, Vice President.
Here.
Thank you. Paul Christensen, Clerk.
Here.
Thank you. And then we have a vacancy in Trustee Area 1, and we have a vacancy in Trustee Area 2. Student Representative, Esperanza Bowen.
Here.
Thank you. And Milani Thomas. Not present. Superintendent Ilza Garza Gonzalez.
Present.
Thank you. All right, start with a informal review of the governing team's norms. The Board of Trustees approved norms are that we be respectful, be approachable, be open-minded, be communicative with no surprises, be willing to listen, be prepared, and be trustworthy. Returning from closed session, the topics are or may have been public employee discipline, dismissal, and review, Government Section Code 54957, nothing to report. Conference with legal counsel pending litigation, Government Section Code 54956.9, D1, nothing to report. Conference with legal counsel anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to Government Section Code 54956.9, D2, nothing to report. And conference with labor negotiators, Government Section Code 54957.6, District Negotiator Ilza Garza Gonzalez, Superintendent, Employee Organizations, FHSDA and SEIU, and unrepresented employees, classified management, certificated management, and confidential employees. All that, nothing to report. Start with a adoption of the agenda.
I move that the board adopts the agenda for the regular meeting of January 24th, 2023.
And I will second that. Carlampio and Jones. Student representatives, Ms. Bowen?
Aye.
Aye. Ms. Thomas, not present. Mr. Carlampio?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Christensen?
Aye.
Aye. Ms. Jones says aye. Area 1 is vacant and Area 2 is vacant. Now we're going to go to recognition. Fallbrook's finest for November, December, and January. Ms. Garza Gonzalez.
Yes, we fell a little behind in recognizing our employees, but we will get all caught up today. If I could have the board stand in front of the dais, please. And Ms. Hatcher, if you could help me with the certificates. Just to hand it to them. Okay. If you are being recognized and you are here, if you could come up on stage when your name is called, we would appreciate it. For November 2022, Dan Garver from our Maintenance, Operations, and Transportation Department. I know that Dan is unable to be with us tonight. He has been with FUHSD for 7 wonderful years as the district's plumber. During his years at Fallbrook, Dan has presented and implemented positive design innovations to our campus infrastructure. He has broken down the campus in workable portions and has added shutoff valves throughout, so we no longer have to shut down large portions of the campus for repairs. He was involved in the modernizing of restrooms and new builds that are coming in the near future and has made himself available for late night or weekend emergencies. His knowledge and expertise is vital, and we depend on him to keep the water flowing. Dan is always the glass is half full, helpful, keeps a smile on his face, and is an asset to our district. We'd also like to recognize Ross Johnson, physical education teacher, and our football coach. Ross has been a great addition to Fallbrook High School. He is positive, polite, and respectful in his interactions with staff, coaches, students, and families. He has helped to redesign our football program to ensure that our students not only show excellence in athletics, but also in character. He works with our young men to ensure that they are gentlemen both on and off the field, and the mutual respect of players and peers is evident in his daily interactions. Similarly, the physical education students in his classes enjoy his positivity and enthusiasm. We are fortunate to have Ross as part of our Fallbrook family. Congratulations, Ross. Corey Boyce? Corey is not here. Corey Boyce is an English teacher at Ivy High School. He has made great strides in the classroom this year in regards to students and specifically with our systems work. Corey is creative and engaging and is always looking for ways to improve his craft. He is a unique individual that looks inward for improvement as opposed to expecting his students to do all the heavy lifting. Mr. Gray, if you could relay our congratulations to him, we would appreciate it. Derek Lee, for December 2022, Derek Lee, the band director at Fallbrook High School. And let me pull up the little write-up. Band director Derek Lee is being honored as December's employee Fallbrook's Finest because of his dedication to the Fallbrook High School music program and, more importantly, because of his dedication to his students. He is often the last person here in the evenings following long after-school rehearsals and frequently arrives on campus before the sun is up on Saturday mornings when students travel to competitions. He has invested time and energy into growing the program, including by supporting after-school clubs at the middle school level in collaboration with their music teacher. Additionally, when some would have anticipated a decrease in student involvement, Derek's program has actually grown during the pandemic. The improvement of this group has been so great that they have moved up in competitive divisions in acknowledgement of their growth and success as a performing group in Southern California. We are appreciative of all he does, as well as of the opportunity to acknowledge his hard work. We'd also like to recognize Scott Garnes from our Maintenance, Operations, and Transportation Department. Scott has been with FUHSD since March of 2022. He started with us as a temp helping to cover during COVID and then applied to move over to a full-time permanent position as the replacement for the daytime custodian grounds keeper when the position opened. He proved his worth to us immediately when the bees started gathering under the batting cages at the JV baseball field. We quickly learned he would be one of our most valuable employees with his knowledge and ability to safely remove our unwanted insect community without harming them. He has an extensive knowledge of horticulture, which also comes in handy during the summer months when he is more of a groundskeeper than a custodial. Scott is a very exceptional and reliable employee. He shows up to work every day, works hard from the start to the finish of each shift, and will give you a smile and on it with any extra assignment he is assigned. He has been one of the first, if not the first, of Fallbrook's finest to receive Fallbrook's Finest while still on probation. He is a keeper, no pun intended. Congratulations, Scott. Bianca Cutler, science teacher at Fallbrook High School. Bianca has been an excellent colleague and continues to excel at teaching rigorous content to students while juggling different preps. She teaches bio, physics, and chemistry. She always exhibits a positive attitude when at work and in the classroom with her students. She has been a great support to second-year teachers, always providing strategies and feedback when it's needed in order to best support classes. She has been a great addition to the science team, and we continue to learn from her every day. This is Bianca's first year at Fallbrook High School. Congratulations, Bianca. Now for our January Fallbrook's Finest. We have Scott Smith. Scott is an English teacher at Fallbrook High School. He teaches English language arts and more specifically spearheads our IB language and literature courses in both the first and second years. He joined our team last year and has become such an asset on our campus within the classroom as part of our IB program and through his involvement with students. This year, he took on the role of both junior and senior class advisor, and he can regularly be seen at events, supporting students in his classes. We appreciate him and all that he brings to the Fallbrook High School community. Angela Good, Business Services. Angie has been with Fallbrook Union High School District since October 2019 as the payroll and benefits technician. She has a wonderful rapport with staff and student workers, manages all of the technical details of payroll and benefits with ease and grace. She has processed 5 retros in her time with the district, and all of them have been with the utmost accuracy and timeliness. She plans and oversees the annual open enrollment process and communicates with all employees and retirees, keeping them up to date with new offerings and changes in benefits. She has provided a sense of confidence in staff that their payroll and benefits are being handled with efficiency and care. She is always humble. Her direct supervisor, Ms. Mefford, tells her that she must have a cape hidden somewhere that we can't see, because we all truly believe that she is a superhero. We are pleased to have her on our team, and she is deserving of the recognition of Fallbrook's finest. And Ms. Mefford, if you could relay that message to her. And finally, Greg Keener, math teacher at Ivy High School. Greg Keener is an excellent teacher who is continually pushing his students to do the best that they can every day. He collaborates not only with Ivy High School teachers, but with Fallbrook High School teachers, and has been instrumental as we transition to trimester at Fallbrook High School for next year. Greg also teaches an after-school cooking class where he teaches his students vegan recipes with very limited cooking tools. Congratulations, Greg, on being recognized as Fallbrook's finest. Thank you.
All right, that brings us to, I believe, public comments. The Fallbrook Union High School District Board of Education encourages and invites the public to comment on agenda and non-agenda items. Individual speakers will be limited to 3 minutes. Per legislation 1292, the board will give twice the allotted time to members of the public who utilize translation technology or require assistance to address the board. Total public input on any one subject will be limited to 20 minutes and may be extended at the discretion of the board president. Comments on non-agenda items can be heard now at this time. Comments on agenda items may be taken now or at the time that the item is on the agenda. Speakers will be called in the order by topic and when their card was submitted. Ms. Gonzalez, do we have any public verbal comments?
We do. Tara Jenkins, regarding the new year. Tara Jenkins? That's all the information I have.
She handed me the card earlier, and I don't see her anymore. Maybe she answered all, got her questions answered, I'm not sure. All right, communications and reports. We'll start with report from student board representatives.
Good evening. I hope you all had a very happy holiday season. Allow me to fill you in on the start of the semester at Fallbrook. Winter sports are in full swing. In our student section, the War Zone is back in action at basketball games, boys and girls. Both teams have been impressive, with girls having 12 wins and boys having 7. Boys and girls soccer have also been formidable. The boys team has 10 wins and 4 draws, and the girls team has 2 wins and 4 draws. The wrestling team went 11 for 15 in individual matches on January 5th. Finally, girls water polo has had an impressive 7 wins this season. All teams seem to be on a great track to competing in CIF. Spring sports tryouts are coming up in February. The dance team had their very first competition this past weekend. Varsity placed 3rd and JV placed 4th. FFA had a beef showing on January 20th. All 6 students who attended placed, and some were granted champion titles. Choir and drama club will be doing a musical this year, Little Shop of Horrors. Auditions were held earlier last week, and the cast list was released last Friday. The performances will be on March 24th and 25th here in Bob Burton. The drama club put on another great show January 14th, The Secret Case of Sherlock Holmes. Additionally, starting the week before Valentine's Day, choir will sell Valentine's Grams. These are prepared songs that students choose to be sung to whomever they please during any class period on Valentine's Day. Roses and chocolates are also being sold. You also have the opportunity this year to purchase a telephone call for a special someone you want to serenade who isn't at the school. ROTC had a drill competition January 14th at Desert Hot Springs High School, and they won in all categories. Coming up, they have a field meet here at the high school on February 11th with Oceanside and El Camino. ASB is holding a school-wide dance, MORP, on February 11th. Tickets went on sale yesterday. The prom theme poll was also released at the beginning of the month. The theme will be Secret Garden. That is all I have to report.
Thank you. Report from our principals. And who would like to go first? Mr. Gray? Mr. Gray is principal of Ivy and Oasis High Schools.
Good evening. Just a few things that are happening. We're very, very thankful for Sal. He's our FAFSA guy up there right now at Ivy. We have 46 of our seniors who are on track to graduate that have completed the FAFSA. That's a really remarkable number for us. It's been great to see the parents come in and work with their seniors and getting their FAFSA completed. February 17th, of those seniors, we will have 15 of them graduating. And on May 12th will be our WASC, our mid-cycle WASC, that they'll be there for a one-day visit. So we're working on that. At Oasis, so far we have had 10 of our 10 seniors graduate thus far. We'll continue throughout the rest of the semester to graduate students as they complete courses. We have also begun working on our WASC for next year. And congratulations to Connor Allen, who was our Student of the Month for January. He's a fantastic young man who is already getting the ball rolling for him to enter the law enforcement. So congratulations to him. That's all I have tonight.
Thank you. Ms. Lauren Jones from Fallbrook High School.
Good evening. Welcome to the new year. We've had a successful start to second semester, and then kind of going to give you the quick run through of all the things happening, especially in the month of February. This is when we start to shift our focus for our students and really thinking about what they want to take next year and doing course selection, and that includes reaching out to our feeder schools. So something coming up right around the corner here, February 11th, we offer a program showcase. So students from incoming schools can come and try out a rotation of activities. So we'll have representatives from CTE, from our VAPA department, some of our academic programs, and then athletics as well. Students will get to choose 3 of those things they want to rotate through for the day. We're also at that same time offering at 11:15, kind of to close out that morning. Students will get some tours of campus. And then our parents for incoming 9th graders will also be invited to come in. We've got a couple of counselors who will be here to answer questions about A to G completion and A to G requirements, what the trimester system will look like, and kind of start the process of thinking about 4-year planning for incoming 9th graders. We additionally will have a lot of our own students there, so it's a great opportunity for some leadership from our ASB and our AVID students. Any students who want to volunteer to represent a program that we offer on campus, who can kind of show our incoming students what it means to be a Fallbrook High School warrior. Then when we kick off February, we kick off course requests, course selection in our ELA classes for our current 9, 10, and 11 students. So they'll open that opportunity. Students will have a chance to meet with the counselor in their English language arts classrooms, take that information home to families, start thinking about, again, the remainder of their 4 years here, and then picking the courses that they're going to take next year. Following the February break, they meet with counselors again and have an opportunity for a one-on-one just to solidify and confirm what it is they want to take next year. So those are all kind of big things coming. February feels like we still have a while left, but I know how second semester tends to go very quickly, so we want students to have the opportunity to really think about, talk to families, meet with counselors as needed, and then make some of those decisions. So we also are working on an incoming Future Warrior Night that'll happen later in the spring, just to continue that process of welcoming in our incoming 9th graders. I think that's probably the bulk of it. I know that Mr. Gray mentioned FAFSA as well. Our counselors are continuing to work with our students to complete the FAFSA before the March 2nd deadline. One of the things we know is that there are hundreds of thousands of dollars left on the table every year, probably even more than that, that no one claims. And so a lot of students don't apply because they don't know if they're going to qualify for money, or they think perhaps their family makes too much money. They're not sure what the process is. They're not entirely sure what they're doing in August. So counselors are working hard to make sure that every student has every opportunity next year, even if they're not quite sure what that's going to look like. So that's a big focus for us during the month of February, as well as getting our seniors squared away for what comes next. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, report from board members. Mr. Carlampio?
Just want to welcome everybody to the new year as the first board meeting of the year, so welcome. And I hope you all had a great break and excited about everything that's going on in our schools. For IB Oasis and Fallbrook High, if there's anything that we can do to help, especially, moving into the trimester system, please let us know, and we would love to support and, have your backs. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Yes, same message. Welcome, Happy New Year, our first meeting of the new year. So, seems like this is already flying by quickly. You're going to hear a little bit more about it, but we've been very busy navigating the vacancies we have on the board. So we're going to hear more about that in just a little bit. So we're setting up for that. I was able to go back to, in my other job, to the National Fire Academy, and take a class there. And basically the topic of the class was getting the entire community working together on some of the problems that are facing a community. So that spills over to the school, and in fact that dovetails into the next thing. North County Fire, CAL FIRE, Sheriff, and other community partners are teaming together and are going to be hosting a wildland safety symposium. And we're going to have that on March 25th, 9 in the morning to noon, and it's going to be right here at the Fallbrook High School Library, which is centrally located in our fire district and also one of our evacuation sites. So it's good to get the entire community working on that problem that's very important to our community. With that, that's all I have. Thank you. Mr. Christensen?
Not much to say. Welcome.
And I believe this Superintendent Garza Gonzalez, correct?
Yes. Have a lot of news regarding construction. We received confirmation from the Department of State Architecture that the plans for our career and technical education buildings have been approved. Modernization of the 400 building, which will house ROTC, film and patient care, is scheduled to begin in June 2023 and to be completed by December 2023. Construction of the new CTE STEAM building, which will house the metal and wood shop, robotics, and transportation technology, will begin in January 2024 and is scheduled to be completed by December 2024. This includes a new adult transition program classroom and garden. The fire line safety for the project is to be completed in the summer of 2024. The project also includes new modular classrooms to replace the current ROTC classrooms so that teachers in the 400 portables can move in. A new special education classroom and a flex classroom for professional development. The project includes a soft modernization of the 300 building that is comprised of modular classrooms. The project is funded by Measure AA, our general bond, and general maintenance funds. In order to complete this project, it is necessary to close out one old legacy project at DSA, which are the baseball bleachers. These two will be modernized to meet DSA standards. Our ag project will be submitted to DSA next week. The ag project includes 3 new classrooms, a dual-use restroom facility that will serve both the FFA area and the home site of the football stadium, and a new greenhouse. This project is funded through developer fees. We are actively seeking matching funds from the state for both old and new projects, as Fallbrook Union High School District had not previously sought out state funds, which are available. The funding we are seeking includes hardship funds for a new aquatic facility. In the near future, we will be inviting our community to participate in our facilities master planning to determine the facilities needs of the district as well as the vision of the community. Community engagement sessions will be available in English and Spanish. An important part of keeping FUHSD accountable to our community is the Citizens Oversight Committee. We currently have 3 vacancies and are actively seeking to fill the business organization member vacancy, the PTA member vacancy, and a parent member vacancy. Interested citizens may visit the facilities planning and construction page of our website for an application and additional information. As you have heard from Principal Lauren Jones, we are preparing to welcome our incoming 9th graders. We encourage all families of 8th graders to attend Future Warrior Day to be held at Fallbrook High School. It is a wonderful opportunity for students to engage with many of our specialized programs and experience them in an energetic, hands-on environment. Parents and guardians are also invited and encouraged to participate towards the end of the day. Next week, I'm hosting another session of the Superintendent Student Advisory Council. We will be discussing the trimester schedule, and I invite all students to attend and bring their questions and concerns. The meeting will be held on Tuesday, January 31st at 3:30 p.m. in room 15. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, on to the agenda. Item number 1 is informational. This is revised, new, and deleted board policies and administrative regulations and exhibits. Ms. Garza-Gonzalez, can you tell us about this, please?
Yes, ongoing reviews and updates are necessary with board policies and administrative regulations. This review enables the district to ensure the policies, regulations, exhibits, and bylaws conform to state and federal law. The district compares its policies, regulations, exhibits, and bylaws with the California School Boards Association recommendations. The review serves as a reminder to the governance team and staff of the operational principles and implementation guidelines for the district. The revisions allow the district to remain compliant. The revisions are in alignment with CSBA suggested language and numbering system. Revisions appear as a strike-through for deletions and as an underline for additions. There are no financial implications associated with this agenda item. Implementation of these proposed revisions should support district efforts to help students attain the goals identified in the LCAP. The revised, new, and deleted board policies, administrative regulations, and exhibits presented tonight are informational items for first reading and will be placed on the next agenda for action.
Thank you. Any questions about that? Item number 2, also revised, new, deleted board policies and administrative regulations. This is an action item, and we'll need a motion to open it.
I move that the board approve in the second reading the revised, new, deleted board policies and administrative regulations as presented.
We'll go ahead and second.
Thank you, Mr. Garlampio, Mr. Christensen. Any discussion on this? All right, we'll call for the vote. Student Representative, Mrs. Bowen.
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Mr. Garlampio.
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Christensen.
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Jones says aye. Area 1 is vacant. Area 2 is vacant. Thank you. Number 3, also an action item. Designate a board subcommittee to verify eligibility for candidates for appointment to trustee area number 1. Ms. Garza Gonzalez.
Yes. So as stated earlier in President Jones' board report, the district, Fallbrook Union High School District, was recently notified that trustee Courtney Hilborn filed with the county superintendent to resign from her position as a board member for trustee area 1. Did we move in second? We need to move in second first, sorry.
I move that the superintendent board recommend designations of a subcommittee of 2 board members to verify eligibility of candidates for appointment to trustee area 1 of the board.
Thank you. I'll second that. Thank you for straightening that out. So Carlampio and Jones, first and second. All right, you may continue.
I apologize for that. So trustee Courtney Hilborn, who represented trustee area 1, resigned from her position as a board member, thereby creating a vacancy on the board. A vacancy can be filled by appointment or by special election. The board is required to provide notice of the vacancy. If filled by appointment, solicit applications from eligible individuals, interview applicants, and make an appointment. The board caused notice of the vacancy to be published after tonight's board meeting, and if the board continues with an appointment, applications for the appointment will be available from January 25th until February 8th. The District Board Policy 9223 requires the creation of a subcommittee consisting of less than a quorum of the board to review applications for eligibility and announce the names of the eligible candidates. Confirming eligibility does not mean that the subcommittee will vet the qualifications or candidates. Simply reviewing qualifications will be reserved for the full board as part of its deliberations. In order to serve on the board via appointment, a person must meet the eligibility requirements specified in Education Code Section 35107, which include being 18 years of age or older, a citizen of the state, a resident of the district and trustee area 1, a registered voter, and not otherwise disqualified by the Constitution or laws of the state from holding a civil office. If the appointment is by application or by appointment, there are no financial implications associated with the agenda item. There is no direct alignment with the LCAP. And I recommend the designation of a subcommittee, which would then allow us to fill the vacancy by appointment of 2 board members to verify eligibility of candidates for appointment to trustee area 1. And I would like to remind the board that we do have a vacancy in trustee area 2. We are in the process of obtaining a waiver of the timeline from the State Board of Education. I have met with DLAC, I have met with both associations, and I will be meeting with our school site council, and that will be an item that comes to the board in the future. Our option of filling the vacancies by special election is an expensive one. I do not have the exact amount, but what we were able to research so far is in a regular general election, it costs the district approximately 42 cents per voter. In a special election, that amount is approximately $25 per voter. We do have a timeline to meet in filling trustee area 1, and again, designating the subcommittee would then indicate that we are moving forward with an appointment as opposed to a special election. Any questions?
Okay, so trustee area 2 was the one that we've had a problem failure to elect. That's kind of old news.
Correct.
And we are working on getting permission to continue to work on that. So what we're talking about though now, the motion has to do with the new vacancy, which is trustee area 1, correct?
Correct. Yes, the
And-
subcommittee for trustee area 2 consists of you, President Jones, and Oscar Caralampio.
And either by appointment, well, if we either by appointment or special election, trustee area 1 would be only a 2-year term, is that correct?
Yes, both terms would only be a 2-year term. The person seated in that seat would have to seek reelection in 2024 to then fill the remainder of the term, which would expire in 2026.
And actually, not a 2-year term, more specifically, they would fill that term until the next regularly scheduled election, I think is the language. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Any other questions or discussion? All right, call for the vote. Start with our student representative. How do you vote?
Aye.
I believe we have to designate the committee first, Mrs. Hatcher?
Yeah. Okay, so, thank you again. What we need is 2 board members to work on the subcommittee for this trustee area 1. Anybody interested in that?
I'm interested.
Yeah, I'd love to be a part of it.
All right, so we can, I don't know if we have to change the motion, but basically the motion would be for the subcommittee to include Mr. Carlampio and Mr. Christensen for that. Sound good? All right. Call for the vote again. Ms. Bowen?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Mr. Carlampio?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Mr. Christensen?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Jones says aye. Area 1 is vacant and Area 2 is vacant. All right, number 4. Approve the revised contract between the Fallbrook Union High School District, FUHSD, and the Fallbrook High School Teachers Association, FHSTA. And this is an action item.
I move that the board approve the revised contract between the Fallbrook Union High School District and the Fallbrook High School Teachers Association as presented.
I'll second.
All right, motion by Mr. Carlampio, second by Mr. Christensen. Any discussion on this? Ms. Bowen, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Mr. Carlampio?
Aye.
Aye, Mr. Christensen?
Aye.
Aye, Mr. Jones says aye. Area 1 is vacant, Area 2 is vacant.
This was on the teachers.
All right, business services, item number 5. This is the Citro territory transfer. Ms. Garza Gonzalez, can you introduce our speaker?
Yes, I'd like to introduce Caroline Brown from Eric Hall and Associates, who has been assisting Bonsall Unified, Fallbrook Union Elementary School District, and Fallbrook High School District in this process.
Thank you.
Caroline?
And we have a show. So now I guess I get to look at the back of your heads, or do you have it up there? I'm Caroline Brown. I'm with EH&A and MGT, and I am a consultant in the facilities arena. We are working with all 3 districts in a territory transfer of a very small area that splits between the 2 districts. So what I'd like to do is talk to you about the program, talk to you about the project and the process, and then the study parameters, and then what the original boundary looks like and what the new revised potential boundary looks like, and then what next steps might be in play. So the Citro development is east of the 15 and north of the 76, and it's circled there in yellow. As part of the district map, it's over on the very easterly portion, corner east of the 15. And then the boundary, as you can see in this picture, it bifurcates the cul-de-sacs and some of the residences along the major streets. So if you look at the right-hand side, Copper Place has about 8 homes in one district, and all the rest of the cul-de-sac is in the other district. So that sort of shows you where the problem is with schools of attendance for this particular development. So the process is that we discovered the dissection of the properties, took a look at the housing types and realized that they were separated, and then the districts got together and agreed on a goal to make some adjustments that are neutral between all the districts, but highly benefit the students and the families that are involved. So we hired Zonda Advisory, which is a real estate group out of San Diego, to take a look at the properties, what their values are, what their potential home ownership profile looks like, how many students get generated, and then based on some of the parameters of Ed Code, we went and communicated with the developer, talked amongst ourselves about what might be the best solution, and came up with some solution I'd like to share with you tonight. So the Ed Code 35753 has rules about what school districts can and can't do when it comes to territory transfer between districts. So we need to look at the equity, we need to look at revenue neutrality, and the projections of enrollment, as well as transportation feasibility. So this is the bifurcation original scenario line that just slaps through the streets. And you'll see in the yellow area the multifamily, where there's 24 units that are over in Bonsall, and all the rest of the multifamily is in the Fallbrook districts. And so our proposed new boundary is the purple line, which takes streets and green areas to divide the development up, and basically takes a look at, an equitable look at the two districts to see what's the revenue, what's the enrollment, you know, what's the property values as far as assessed value in the event of a bond overlay. So this is proposed option 5, and it was actually unanimously agreed to, anonymously agreed to by every district before we got together and shared what we thought the solution should be. So this is a side-by-side consideration document. So in the upper left-hand corner, you can see the red circles indicating the areas of most problem. And then you've got 342 units of the multifamily in Fallbrook districts, you got 24 in the Bonsall district. There's 15 homes in one district on one cul-de-sac, and 10 in another, and 4 in one school district, and 6 and 9 in another. So the fix makes it so the cul-de-sacs are together, people that live in the same product line of the multifamily are together, and people that live across the street from each other are going to the same school district. So following this meeting, what you have in your packet is the petition and resolution regarding the territory transfer. And this is for first reading and discussion, and I will be gathering questions from people, and then we'll come up with a shared FAQ for each board, so that all the questions that you ask are then communicated to the elementary district and the unified district in a comprehensive way. Then what we will do, we've held the Fallbrook Elementary board meeting last week, and we held the Bonsall Unified board meeting last week. This is the third board meeting we've had on this topic, and it is for reading and discussion. Then we're going to get a updated list of occupied homes from the developer, sold and occupied. So right now there's 109 units that are being contemplated for transfer, and there are 20 that are currently occupied, 10 in the multifamily and 10 in the single family. So that is as of November 30th. So we need to get an updated number from the developer to add to the petition when we bring it back to you for second reading and approval at the February board meetings of all 3 districts. Then the packet gets assembled and sent to the county Office of Education, the county superintendent, and they have a advisory committee that then reviews it. They have to validate that it's a valid document within 30 days, and then within 60 days they have to hold public hearings within each jurisdiction, meaning they're going to come up here to Fallbrook High School and Elementary and hold one public hearing, and they'll go to Bonsall and have another public hearing over there. And we're thinking that after the 120 days and the triggers that have to happen when that happens, is we'll have this buttoned up by September of 2023. So that concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to address any questions or any discussion items that you have.
Ms. Christensen, any questions?
I think I will have some in the future. Just looking at the map, and I'll look at the map a little closer, and I may have some questions coming up just on the different communities that have been developed there already, and where their boundary lines or what, just so I'm more familiar with what school district they're already assigned to. And that may be an easy answer in the future, but before I get into that, I'd like to do a little research.
Yeah, we do have a pretty comprehensive street list with addresses for every unit, and the developer has been very supportive in providing us with the sales and under contract and vacant, status of each lot by lot, so we'll be able to answer those questions.
Great, appreciate it.
Sure.
No questions from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Caroline, am I correct in that in slide 8, that is the boundary as it exists right now? And then slide 9 is the proposed
Yeah.
boundary?
Could they flip back to that?
I believe
one
so.
and- Oh, I guess I can. Never mind. I have control. Okay, sorry. 8. 8 is the original scenario that was done when the development was originally mapped. Yes.
So everything under that corner is Bonzel?
Everything orange and north of the line and the blue area is Bonzel, and then the multifamily going this way is Fallbrook.
Okay. And then the next slide,
Okay. So blue area, part of the multifamily, and all the things in the upper right corner go to Bonzel, as well as the north area there, and then everything else south of the purple line goes to, or west of the purple line goes to Fallbrooks.
okay.
Thank you very much. All right, number 6 is an action item, resolution number 07-2223, revised best value procedure and guidelines for leaseback projects. Action item, I'll need a motion on this, please.
Make a motion for the resolution number 07-2223, revising best value procedure and guidelines for leaseback projects.
Thank you, Ms. Christensen, and I'll second that. Jones? All right, Ms. Mefford, can you provide us some explanation on this, please?
Yes, we are currently prepared to put an RFP out to the streets requesting an LLB, which is a leaseback contractor, who will then construct the new CTE project and the modernization of the 400s, as Superintendent Garza Gonzalez mentioned earlier. So what this resolution does is it revises the best value procedures, which allows the district flexibility to align the contractor procurement based on the needs of the district and the actual DSA-approved plans. So this is going to ensure that the selected contractor has the minimum experience required and is qualified for the project. And so there's a matrix back here of all the description and the points that we're going to use to score these leaseback contractors. So unlike a bid where we take the lowest contractor, the lowest bid, that is not the case here. So they will be scored and the qualifications determined on all of these following items here.
Thank you. Any questions? All right, Ms. Bowen, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Mr. Carlombio?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Christensen?
Aye.
Mr. Jones says aye. Area 1 is vacant. Area 2 is vacant. Passes 3-0. Number 7, Resolution 08-2223, resolution for disposition of personal property and purchase and sale agreement. This is also an action item.
I'll move to the number 7 action item, resolution for disposition of personal property and purchase and sale agreements.
Thank you, Mr. Christensen. Jones, I will second that. Ms. Mefford, again, explanation on this, please.
Okay. Our transportation technology teacher, Mr. Johnson, has received a 2009 Audi for donation. And one of the issues is the paperwork was done, and the person, when they donated the car, they transferred the title already over to the district, but it hadn't come to the board for approval yet. So the board the board would have to accept the donation first, but in looking at the car, now that Mr. Johnson has it, it's going to require more repairs than he originally thought. He wants to make the repairs on the car. He knows that his students can learn from it, and it will be a good part of his program. But the problem is, in order to get the repairs done, it's going to exceed the funds that he has in his program. And the red tape, as he refers to it, as we have in the district, purchasing and all of that, he could just call up someone, take the car, get whatever needs to be done that the kids can't do here, and then bring it back here. He says it would be much better serving the students if he could just take care of that on his own. So he has asked to purchase the car from the district, and then he will then let the students work on it, but it won't be the district's car, so we will not be responsible for providing all of the parts and all of the things required to get the car up and running. So we went to our legal counsel and asked how was the best way to go about this, and we were advised that first we would have to accept the donation of the car and then turn around and sell it to Mr. Johnson, and we can do that because the value of the car does not exceed the $2,500 limit. So if the board decides to accept the donation of the car, then there's also a purchase agreement to then turn around and sell the car to Mr. Johnson, and under the agreement that he would then use it in his transportation technology program for the students. Does that make sense? It's a little tricky. There's 2 pieces to it.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. So, yeah, just like you said, it's 2 pieces. First of all, we need to accept the donation, which we kind of have to because we own it. Then the second half would be to sell it back to Mr. Johnson. So are the dollar amounts the same, or how is that working?
Yes, the dollar amounts are the same. Since we're not using the surplus because if it was beyond $2,500, we would have to go through public surplus. But the attorney said as long as the value is under $2,500, and it is, so it's $2,500, and then we're going to sell it to Mr. Johnson for $2,500.
But the car has to stay in Fallbrook High School, right?
Yes, the car is. I'm sure if Mr. Johnson was to leave Fallbrook High School, he could take it with him at that time, but while he's here, it is going to be used here in Fallbrook High School because Mr. Johnson will be the owner of the vehicle, not Fallbrook High School.
Okay, sounds good. I do appreciate the idea of having that car brought in for the students to work on it. So from that perspective, overall, sounds like a good idea. Sounds like maybe some things were done out of order. I'm sure we've got people to look into that. So thank you. Any other questions? All right. Ms. Bowen, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Mr. Carlampio?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Christensen?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Jones says aye. And Area 1 is vacant, and Area 2 is vacant. Thank you. All right. This is also an action item. Resolution number 09-2223, declaring the futility of bidding for work and approving the work and Baker Electric and Renewables Potential Order number 001, updated on the canopy design. This is an action item, so we'll open with a motion, please.
I move that the board approve resolution number 092223, declaring the futility of bidding for work and approving that work in Baker Electric and Renewables potential change order number 001, updated canopy design as presented.
Thank you. I will second. Ms. Mefford, can
Okay,
you tell us what this is about?
Yes, this is another two-part, has a resolution. There is a change order. Baker Renewable Energy is our solar contractor, and we've already hired them to construct solar panels in the parking lots. And in doing so, they have discovered there are certain easement restrictions on our property that affect the design of the project's canopy and structural support layout. So they've had to go back, and this is another issue of some unforeseen conditions. And so they've now determined there's some extra scope in this project, and so that's going to require additional steel, and the price of steel right now is very high. So that's increasing the cost of the project overall by $741,427. So that's the change order part. Now, since that increase of a change order is more than 10%, normally you would go out and get bids, because we always want to make sure we're getting the best value and using the money the best way we can. But in this instance, since we are already in a contract with Baker Renewables for the solar project, it's not really possible for us to go out and get other quotes. They have seen this. We're already in a contract with them. This has all been vetted by the attorneys that, yes, it's a correct change order, but it exceeds the 10%. That's the reason for the resolution in futility, because it would not be in our best interest to go out and get another contractor in to do this part of it. That's the two parts to this. And hopefully once this is all done, they are ready to start working. We're looking for a summer start date on the solar project, but it does have some additional cost because it has some additional steel.
So the overall cost of the solar project is what?
The overall cost of the solar project is now going to be $4,554,549, and that is going to be paid with the loan that we already took for the solar project. So we do have those funds sitting in our trust account for this project.
Okay. 741,000, that's a big number. Are there any other alternatives? Can we make the project smaller, or is this really, we have to do this or we don't do anything at all?
Superintendent Garza Gonzalez and I did go over a couple of different options, and out of the three that we looked at, this looked like it was the best to still get the production we were looking for and to be able to fit and provide the canopies in our parking lot. They're going to have to change. It was because there's an easement going right through the middle. So, I mean, I'm sure we could always go back to see if we could get it smaller, but we didn't know if that would really be worth it.
So what are the
Yes.
other two options?
We could reduce the amount of production, which would reduce the size of the project to keep it at a lower cost. Part of the 741,000 includes, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Mefford, because we've extended the project out towards the parking lot in the visitor side bleachers, and the original scope of the project did not include that. We now have to do the geological survey, which is an additional cost because originally we did not test in that area.
Do we know who the easement is through? Can we get rid of the easement?
We cannot get rid of the easement.
Yes, it's a county easement, and it's been there forever.
Yeah, I understand that, but you can still request getting rid of an easement based on location and means. I'm just curious if that is an option through the county. If they're not using the easement for something specific, maybe they did back in the day when they established it, but if we can move that easement to somewhere else and it doesn't affect $741,000, seems like a lot of money, over 10%.
We did ask what is the process of removing an easement, and the biggest issue was the time. And so it would put the project off probably, he said an easement, moving an easement is usually like about a year minimum. So I don't know if I didn't check into that myself, but that's what we were told. And so we were thought, okay, well, that's going to be another year. And then and meanwhile, you know, we're trying to get the solar to reduce our electricity costs because SDG&E rates are going up at a minimum of 25% in the next fiscal year. So we thought, what is it going to work out? If we get the project, we have the most production, that's going to save us on our utility costs down the road. But if the board doesn't agree to do that, we could always go to move the easement. We could always go for a smaller system. It's up to the board.
Yeah, no, I'm just asking questions, not, I'm just trying to get more info, that's all.
Also, do you have any idea how much, I'm trying to, I guess I didn't really understand the conflict here. I know the area we're talking about, the visitor center, the visitors bleachers, that part closest to ag, right?
Correct. Yes.
I don't want to delay this project longer, but I'll be honest, I am not as familiar with this as I should have been for that much money. So I'm thinking of not taking action on this now and getting some more questions answered. If we do that, is that going to push this back considerably? Is that going to be a problem?
If it's brought to the next board meeting, I don't believe it pushes us that far back. So it is something that we can request, and if Ms. Hatcher could then guide us on next steps, since there's already a motion on the floor.
You could decline this action, or you can revise your motion to table it.
So just a little bit of history on this. When the legacy board members were here, there were a couple members that were pushing to have as absolutely large a system as possible. I think, if you remember, the system we're getting is very big. So I'm wondering if we go back and are able to make the system smaller by a little bit, if that might avoid the geotech work that's expensive and some of this stuff. So I don't know.
I actually do have information in the change order that is part of the supporting documents. So the canopy quantity was reduced from 19 canopies down to 7 canopies due to the existing street and utility easements in the senior lot. The canopies were expanded to accommodate the same system size with fewer canopies. Due to the size of the canopies, a pre-checked Department of State architecture canopy design cannot be used, so a new full submittal will be completed, where we were under the impression that we could still use the pre-checked DSA canopy design. An expanded geotechnical report is required due to the lack of bores completed in the stadium parking lot in the existing geotechnical report, and parking lot restriping will be completed to better align with the canopy column placements. The quantity of parking stalls will not be adjusted. So that covers the $741,000 and provides a little bit more information as to the extent of the work.
So just to understand this, part of the cost that we're talking about right now had to do with going from 19 canopies to 17. Same solar array amount, but less canopies, but that is kicking off another DSA certification, correct?
Correct, because now the canopies have to be larger since we've eliminated so many, they have to be larger in order to be able to produce the quantity that the board originally agreed on, which I believe was 98%, Ms. Mefford?
Yes, it was right under the 1 megawatt.
All right. And you don't really know how much of this cost, the 750,000, 41,000 is geotech, and how much is actual steel, and how much is because of the change from 19 to 70 canopies, do you?
I do not have it broken out that way. Ms. Mefford, I don't know if you know.
No, but we can absolutely request it broken down to see what part is the scope of work change, what's the steel price, what's the geotech. We can get it itemized.
Yeah, I think I would feel more comfortable having those exact numbers in terms of the 741. It's a huge amount.
Yeah, so I would go ahead and make a motion to change the motion to table this until next meeting with further information. And if anybody agrees, we'll need a second on that, and then we'll vote on that.
I'll second to table it till next meeting.
Ms. Carmen, make sense to you? Okay, so the
Yes, it does.
motion now is, the change motion is to table this for now until we get more information and then address this next meeting. All right? We have a motion and a second. How do you vote?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Mr. Carlampio?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Christensen?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Jones says aye. Area 1 is vacant and Area 2 is vacant. Thank you both for helping us with that. Educational services. This is an information item, number 9. This is a new course on patient care. Ms. June.
Good evening, President Jones, Superintendent Garza Gonzalez, and members of the board. I come to you tonight with an information item, a patient care course that we are bringing for info for you all. Goal 2 and 3 of our local control accountability plan speaks to preparing all students for college and career and demonstrating proficiency of state content standards, including Common Core, English language development, next generation science standards, physical education standards, and career and technical education standards. As part of these goals, Fallbrook High School will offer a new hopes to offer a new patient care course to build into a potential EMT, sports medicine, or medical assistant pathway. The Health Careers in the Community course is the first course, a concentrator within the CTE patient care pathway, and it's designed to introduce students to the medical terminology, theories, principles, and hands-on field experience involved with growing the field of healthcare. This course allows us access then to, as a concentrator course for a capstone course, listed in order of desirability by our students, our parents, our curriculum instruction and assessment committee. And the first choice was the emergency medical technician course. Second choice is sports medicine, and the third choice is a medical assistant course. And I do have Dr. Luna available as well in case you have follow-up questions.
So the first choice you said was emergency. I'm sorry, it's a little hard for some reason for us to hear you on that mic. So the first choice is emergency medical technician.
That is the first choice per our parents. I believe it was maybe the second or third choice for our students, and then our curriculum instruction and assessment committee did vote for the the EMT course as their first choice.
And are the students going to be able to have some sort of a certification, like an EMT certification at the completion of this course?
Great question. I'll defer to Dr. Luna for that one.
So the goal is for them to earn a certification. Depending again on, the concentrator will be the Health Careers and Community, and depending on what path the capstone is, if it is the emergency first responder, medical assistant, emergency medical tech, that's what we want. The end goal is for them to earn that certification. At the same time, try and connect with Palomar College and see if we can articulate some of the courses. We noticed that the course that the capstone one that our CIA department chairs voted for, They saw the benefits because we can meet the first responder, medical assistant, and there are actual courses in Palomar or even Maricosta that can kind of mirror if the kids want to go to a 2-year pathway. And that's kind of, right now, the labor market is showing there's a high need for those paths.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I have a question. It's been a while since I've been in EMT school, but I believe in the state of California you have to be 18 to be certified as an EMT. So in that EMT course and a trimester system, are you looking at like advanced CPR, advanced first responder, or anything that kind of builds up? Because I know Palomar has those programs. In order to get into the EMT class, you have to take like a first responder, CPR, and then once you kind of hit those curriculum bases, you go to the EMT class. But to be certified in California, you have to be 18.
Yes, you're correct. And that we know, and coming from prior experience, that's one of the limitations with the program. But they are able to get CPR and first aid training as what they would get in our first course, which is the concentrator. And then when it comes to the capstone, that would be the piece seen on the kid's age to see if they can earn a certification. If not, it might be where we pay for a certain type of program, but once they're 18, potentially creating kind of a bridge for those students that maybe finish the pathway if they're not 18. So thinking of our juniors, if they start sophomore year and then junior year. When they're 18, if they are in the capstone, which is the second course, we want to see, the eventual goal is to connect them with the community college if they want to go to that pathway, earn some of those credits while they're still in the high school program. yes,
Dr.
sir.
Luna or Ms. Toon, concentrator and capstone are is terminology that is very specific to our career and technical education pathways, which may not be familiar to our audience. Could you please clarify what they mean and their importance?
So the CTE pathway involves 2 courses. Concentrator would be the first course, and the capstone is the second course. In order to complete it, the students have to take both of those classes. A concentrator, the first course has to be completed, score a grade of a C or better to go into the capstone, because that shows mastery. Once they've earned it, they earn the CTE certification, which helps our college and career indicators, but at the same time helps prepare them if they want to do a 2-year pathway at community college, or if they actually want to go to 4-year, go into medicine or a healthcare field.
So my question is, AP classes, when you take them and you pass, you're able to not take those in college, right? For AP classes?
So it does depend on the college. So we always recommend to our students taking AP or IB classes that they look at what the colleges will allow and what those AP or IB courses will qualify for. But much of the time, yes, an AP or an IB course, if they get a sufficient score on their exam, will then count for a particular course at a college or university.
Will the capstone be similar to that? To like the AP exam, where if they get the capstone, will they able to not take some classes in college? Is that something that's possible, or is it just not possible to do that?
That's a very good question. Unless Dr. Luna has information that I don't know, I was going to say I'm not aware of any, but.
So with CTE courses, and that's something that we're working on with our current ones, you can actually articulate. When we say articulation, it means that the curriculum mirrors what is in the actual college course. So the student potentially could be earning college credits when they take the second course in that CTE pathway. And when you're referring to their age as well, or courses in college, that's the end goal, what we want to do. So we have to build it. And as we're building this pathway and the courses for the second one, it'll be then in collaboration with Palomar College to see if we can articulate so that when our student finishes the course, that second course, they can apply to earn college credit, and it depends where they're going, they can take it as a transfer. So that is the end goal of many of our CTE programs, and that's, like I said, something we're trying to work on. And for this one especially, in community college, trying to partner with Palomar.
So knowing Palomar's process for EMT and then kind of that natural progression for a lot of those students can be paramedic school or going into sports medicine, things like that, but they're going to establish their EMT. Potentially they could graduate with an EMT course, but a natural progression would be they would be taking like anatomy, physiology. That would be an AP course. So if they're looking at going into first responder type, whether it's nursing or paramedicine, there should be an acknowledgement that their college courses, if they're going to go that route, they could get their EMT. I'm looking back when I was in high school, if I could have done this, would have been tremendous. But to say, well, if you're going to take EMT coursework and then tackle A&P like a anatomy physiology, but a course accredited anatomy physiology, it gives them those credits toward college that they wouldn't have to take potentially.
So I know what we were talking with our science teachers, what we're hoping as students go into this pathway, we also kind of increase the engagement into those science courses, that if they're thinking of going into EMT pathway or a medical assistant, recommending, hey, you only take some human anatomy within our CTE courses. We have a human anatomy course on campus. How about taking that as well if you're thinking of continuing on with this path outside of high school? In terms of the college piece, I think
And to clarify in regards to the human anatomy and physiology course, it's not an AP course and there's not an associated exam. And so when it comes to articulation or looking at colleges and universities as to whether or not that would count for a course at the college level, it's a great foundational course, but it wouldn't count at the college level.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, I mean, if it's possible, I think that'd be great. But if not, like, you know, again, if you take like pre-calc in high school, like I did, that set me up for, you know, college math. Not necessarily that because I took pre-calc, I was able to skip a class in, you know, college. But we're just asking the question as in, like, you know, if a student, you know, take the capstone pathway, could that help them in college in terms of courses, or is that just not a possibility? And again, it's not, you know, it's a question in terms of, you know, how far can this program go and what are our limitations? If it triggers like interest for students, that's great, and you know they can get them into that pathway. That's amazing. If we can go an extra mile, given the policies of Palomar and so on, you know, how far can the capstone go? There you go. That's basically the question.
So you're hitting at the partnerships that we want to build with the program. We have Vista Community Vista Health Community that we talk to, as well as the Fallbrook Regional, and just trying to bring in some of those students to work with them. They did mention kind of the needs in the healthcare fields. And so that would be, again, a future step once we get to the capstone piece. And those students that do have interest in going into whether it be nursing, EMT, possibly even just medicine, connecting them with those partners. So it's been good that we talked to them and we mentioned to them, hey, we're thinking of a patient care pathway. What are your thoughts? So they kind of, their ears perked up, like, oh yeah, keep us in mind, because we know they have certain programs that they can connect our students. So that's the other piece with time trying to build it. And again, depending on kind of what path the kids are trying to go to. Definitely want to get them that experience, that exposure, that work experience. And we know it takes time to build that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, number 10, action item. This is the 22-23 School Accountability Report Card.
I'll go ahead and move that the board approve the 2022-23 School Accountability Report Cards.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Christensen and Ms. Carlampio. Any discussion on this? Ms. Bowen, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Mr. Carlampio?
Aye.
Aye, Mr. Christensen?
Aye.
Aye, Mr. Jones also says aye. Area 1 and Area 2 are both vacant. Number 11, California Healthy Kids Survey, action item.
I move the board approval of high school administering the California Healthy Kids Survey to the 9th and 11th grade students as presented.
And I will second that. Ms. Garza Gonzalez, can you tell us about this, please?
Yes, the California Healthy Kids Survey is the largest statewide survey of resiliency, protective factors, risk behaviors, and school climate in the nation. Across California, The California Healthy Kids Survey has led to a better understanding of the relationship between students' health behaviors and academic performance, and is frequently cited by state policymakers and the media as a critical component of school improvement efforts to help guide the development of more effective health, prevention, and youth development programs. The survey is anonymous and confidential. California districts administer the survey annually to gather benchmark data that will inform their local control accountability plan to improve teaching and learning for all students. It also provides data for high schools to identify student and family needs. The district will communicate with all high schools to administer the California Healthy Kids Survey to their 9th and 11th grade students. Parents do have an opportunity to opt out of the survey if they have a 9th grader or a 10th grader. Participation in the survey is voluntary and it is anonymous. At Fallbrook High School, the survey will be administered between February 27th and March 16th. For students 7th grade and above, the consent is passive, which means in order for a student to opt out of taking the survey, the parent would have to notify the school. There is a letter that will be going out from the high school explaining the survey and explaining that in order to opt out or not give permission, the form has to be returned before the survey is administered. There is no cost to the district, as survey fees are covered through the current TUPE, which is the Tobacco Prevention Education Grant. LCAP Goal 1 speaks to increasing student and family engagement, and I recommend that the board approve that all high schools administer the California Healthy Kids Survey to their 9th and 11th grade students as presented. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
The parents are required to opt out. Is there any way to change that to parents opting in?
No, the California Ed Code has opting in active consent in grades K through 6, but in grades 7 through 12, it is a passive consent, so it has to be an opt-out. We do inform parents of this through the annual notification to parents, which I know is a very long document, but like I said, a letter will be going out to all families so that if anybody would like to opt out, they can return that or bring it into the school. It will also be posted on the website. I'm sure that it will be included in the principal's newsletter and communicated to teachers. And I believe it's a 2-week window from the time the letter goes out to the time the test is administered to give parents and guardians plenty of time to opt out of the survey if they so wish.
Will the
I would
options of
just say
opting
that,
out?
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. Will the options of opting out be both written, so in print and or digital? So like, can they opt out like online, or can they send a note or fill out a form?
I believe that as part of our data confirmation at the beginning of the year, there is a question regarding surveys. Am I correct, Dr. Luna? And parents had an opportunity at that time, I'm getting nods, to opt out digitally. This will be sent on paper.
I was just going to make the comment that it's January 24th. You're giving a couple of weeks for parents to be notified of a survey that they may or may not agree with. I don't think 2 weeks, you know, a letter going out, somebody's out of town, don't get their mail right away. You're leaving very little time for a parent to opt out. And I know that they're given, in the beginning of the year, the option to opt out of surveys. They're given long documents stating that, but I don't really agree with giving a 2-week window. There should be a longer window with maybe a little more publicity for parents to understand what it is that they're getting into. I know it's based off a tobacco awareness program that's kind of funded it, but I know that there's a lot more questioning than just tobacco use, and that's kind of something that I would be concerned about, especially with my kids going to the school, what kind of questions they're answering or potentially answering. That would be a concern for me, and only having that 2-week window would be insufficient for me as a parent.
Yes, so you are correct in that the survey gathers information on developmental supports provided to youth, school connectedness and barriers to learning, school safety, health-related concerns such as physical activity and nutritional habits, alcohol, tobacco, and other drug use, risk of depression and suicide, and protected class identifiers such as sexual orientation and gender identity. The window to administer the survey is between February 27th and March 16th, 2023. I do have the letter already prepared, so Dr. Luna, is it possible to send the letter out maybe next week, which would then provide 4 weeks?
Yes, that's actually my goal, is that once it's approved, I can send it out, mail it and email it. Parents can, it has my information, so they can actually email me and let me know that they want to opt out, or they want to just call and leave me a message that they want to opt out. So then I'll be collecting on a spreadsheet and then share that with both high schools. These are the students that will not participate. So when the window opens, though the window opens February 27th, it doesn't mean that that's when the schools will start. I am giving a window to all three high schools when to start, and they can schedule when they're going to start administer the actual survey. But yeah, the hope is I'm trying to send it by next week. That way the parents have enough time, and they have 3 ways of communicating with myself or the high schools.
And last question, you send that out, parents are required to send that in. Can a student themselves in person or written say, I have no desire to take a survey?
So as long as the student can bring it, if their parent signs it, they can drop it off as well.
Right, but if the parent isn't part of that or doesn't understand it or language, whatever the circumstance might be, can a student refuse to take the survey themselves if they don't feel comfortable taking it?
So I believe that before the age of 18, the educational rights holder is the parent, so only the parent can opt them out. But if the student is 18, at that moment they can say, I don't want to take the survey.
And if there is a concern, then that would be just talking with the student to see what's going on. I'm sure we can figure something out with them. I wouldn't want to force them.
Is this survey, the California Healthy Kids Survey, something that the high school itself uses for maybe not necessarily instruction, but environment or just like environment support? Is it just for policymakers?
No, we
legislation?
actually use the results of the California Healthy Kids Survey to develop our LCAP, because it asks questions about engagement. Do you feel safe in classrooms? Do you feel that you are a part of the classroom? How, are you engaged? It covers questions on bullying. It covers questions on, what information do you have or not have, so that we're then better prepared to provide those or identify goals through the LCAP. So yes, we do use the survey. It's 3-part. There's actually a survey for staff that we use as well, and there is a survey for parents.
As a teacher myself, I do see the value in that, though. And I am one who, wants to ask all of our school community, teachers, students, parents about, how we're doing in Fallbrook High School. So, the question of opting out is just, how can we improve it if that's the case somebody wants to take. But I do also see the importance of the survey in terms of what can we do as educators to support our students in bullying, or what kind of programs can we create to support the reduction of bullying in schools. So I do see the importance of it. Just wanted to know exactly, what were some of the data that we were looking at. But I do think it's an important survey if, we use it in order to improve our services for our kids.
Well, student voice is a big one when it comes to LCAP, and even with some of the grants that we apply for. So the Healthy Kids Survey gives us a good idea of where we're at, the needs of our students, especially as we talk of not just mental health, but kind of academics and how they're feeling connected to our campus, especially as we're trying to grow some of our programs on campus.
So last question for you, Dr. Luna. If a student was to refuse, there's no repercussions for a student refusing. I mean, there may be some discussion going through a parent or notifying a parent, but a student should have some voice in the fact that they don't want to take a survey.
Yeah, there wouldn't be any repercussion.
And
It'd be
then,
a conversation with us.
Okay, last question. Is there a way to have a copy of the survey so that we know the questions being asked, that if parents want to opt in or out, there's a way to
Yes.
find out what that is?
So that once this gets approved, what I'll be working on is posting a sample of it on the school website, and on the letter, it reads on there where they can locate it.
Thank you.
Obviously, being a high school district, we only administer the survey to grades 9 and 11, but it is administered at the elementary level as well in grades 3, 5, and 7, correct?
Yes. Any other questions?
All right, I think that covers that. I'd like to call for the vote. Mrs. Bowen?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Mr., I guess Ms. Thomas not here. Mr. Carlampio?
Aye.
Says aye. Mr. Christensen?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Jones says aye. Area 1 and Area 2 are vacant. And that, we are now at the consent agenda. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered by the Board of Trustees to be routine and to be enacted in one action. There is usually no discussion of these items prior to the time of the Board of Trustees votes on the motion unless a member of the board requests specific items to be discussed or deleted from the consent agenda. Action item, the consent agenda.
Just have a question on one of the consent agenda items.
Yes.
Yeah, number 15. Like, I'm really excited to see the partnership between our district and other universities, right? If we can get, better practices, if we can improve our practices, systems, and so on. For number 15, what department is the internship credential agreement? Is that for teachers?
This is for teachers. It could also be for any other position that requires a credential, like a counselor or a psychologist. We do not know which subject area because that changes from year to year depending on the availability that we have to place students and depending on the students and the areas that they are concentrating in.
Thank you. Yeah, again, big fan of partnering with our universities so that we could improve services for kids.
All right, action item, need a motion and a second, please.
I move that the board approve as presented the consent agenda.
And I'll second.
Carlampio and Mr. Christensen, thank you. Any other discussion or questions? Ms. Bowen?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Mr. Carlampio.
Aye.
Aye, Mr. Christensen.
Aye.
Aye, Mr. Jones says aye. Area 1 is vacant and Area 2 is vacant. Organizational matters. This is the appropriate place in the agenda for members of the board to request the superintendent provide further information regarding items discussed at this meeting and/or to request that new items of business be placed on future agendas. Are there any organizational matters?
I do have an organizational matter to bring up that was discussed with the 2 vacancies. Sometimes that time frame, the amount of people that want to apply or would be interested, especially that Area 2 that nobody even applied or ran to, that's an issue that we're going to have to address in the future as well. I know that we've looked into other districts or other school districts that are going to 1 meeting per month. I realize that going to 1 meeting per month might prolong that 1 meeting to be a little bit longer, but it might also provide the opportunity for members of the community to apply maybe that District 2 or Area 1 so that they could know that time frame. Maybe 2 meetings a month is too much for them, and going to 1 meeting a month might open up that avenue to have more people involved or interested. Something that I think could be brought up on another meeting, maybe to vote on in the future, but there are a lot of school districts that are currently doing 1 meeting a month rather than 2, and I understand the repercussions of going to 1. There's a lot of events that take place between sports and teachers and stuff like that, and I don't want to discredit any of that. but it might make that one meeting a little bit longer, but create some more openness for the community to get involved.
So let me repeat to make sure that I understood. You would like to, or would you would like for me to bring information on the possibility of moving from 2 board meetings per month to 1 board meeting per month?
That's correct, in layman's terms.
And do the other 2 board members agree?
Yeah, I'd like to have further information on that. I'd like to look into that. And you're right, it may work, may not, but it'll be good to look at. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I will bring information to the next board meeting, and we will look into that.
All right, any other organizational matters? All right, date and time of the next meeting. The next regular meeting of the Board of Trustees will be held on Monday, February 13th, 2023 at 5:30 here at the Bob Burton Performing Arts Center at Fallbrook High School. Adjournment, there being no further business to come before the board, the regular board meeting for January 24th, 2023 was adjourned at 7:05 by President Jones. Thank you.